Chapter 18. New Adventures. One of my classmates just acquired a gutted trailer. He said he took the class to learn how to put it back together. The trailer needed to be rewired with no electrical wire. He would be comfortable after that. I offered my help for the summer as I had no other plans. I spent the summer working as a maid part-time. On my days off, we would work on his trailer trying to get it done before winter set in. Some of the forestry students had taken a job for their internship at the local Forest Service. One of them took an interest in me, and we did a lot of hiking, fishing, and camping on his weekends. We were camped out on the beach with a beautiful sunset. The next morning when we woke up, we heard lapping of waves like they were just outside the tent. We opened the zipper and we were right. High tide. Crazy. We only had so much beach left before there was nowhere to go. We had that tent and sleeping bag in the back of his truck in 2 seconds. When we got halfway to the exit off of the beach, there was a small stream running down the beach. We were not sure how deep it was, but this was the only way out. Slam! The front end went into the stream about 3 feet up the front of the truck. No going back now. He had put the front-wheel drive on when we started out. We lived. I'd end up getting a 3-day weekend during moose hunting season. Curtis had went moose hunting the previous week with success. 1 moose hanging in the shed for winter. I'd never tried moose before I went hunting. He invited me to his family's moose camp. Oh yeah, I'm going to shoot a moose. We had wrapped some moose steaks in some tin foil that had been butter, salt, pepper, garlic powder on it to cook for dinner when we got there. It was going to take most of the day to get to his family's moose camp. We got to the road where we had to get on the 4-wheeler for the long haul into moose country. I think we were riding on the 4-wheeler for about 2.5 hours, relieved to move around when we got there. It was dark by the time we were eating the moose steaks cooked on the fire. The best. Right after dinner, we hit the sack because we were going to get up before the crack of dawn to sneak out to the moose hunting stands in the trees. Moose hunting stands and crack of dawn is all I could think about going to sleep that night. The cool, crisp air and the long slow ride out made me crash out right away. Before I knew it, we were woke up by quiet whispers of a soft voice so we wouldn't wake anyone else up. I have been trained to wake up to the whisper of my name since my dad started training me to protect myself. Instantly I was awake with anticipation to get to moose stand. We were loaded down with cookies, chips, candy, and soda to snack on until breakfast was ready in a couple of hours. We were on foot when we hiked through the marsh to get to the moose stands. We hiked for about an hour and found one of the many moose stands. This one was empty. Perfect. All we had to do was climb up to the stand and wait in the box until a moose went by. Cool. Barely awake, patiently waiting for something to happen. An hour in of waiting quietly, I heard crunching and munching noises out of nowhere. We peek over the side to see a mama moose and a baby moose just arm's length away eating. Animals are so amazing. We watch until they go away. Wow. We started to get restless waiting for the moose. Then out of nowhere, my roommate Curtis took a shot at a moose. This explosion of sound shattered the quiet morning. It seemed that right as he took the shot, he was jumping out of the tree stand and hit the ground running. I was not going to be left in the middle of the marshland waiting to be rescued. I jumped out of the moose stand after I realized what was happening. We ran for about a mile in 5 different directions. He decided that he was too far to chase and that some other hunter will probably get lucky. Curtis was not too concerned because he already had a moose hanging in the shed to cure up for winter. When his family came back from the moose camp, the work began. They had over 1,000 pounds of meat to prepare for the long winter. Moose meat. I was invited on day 2 of hacking up the moose into portions for meals. I had no idea what I had volunteered to do. The best part of the whole hacking up the moose was his grandma. She was a cute old native lady with white curly hair. The first time we met, both just stared at each other. First off, we were the same height with the same smile. No words can explain the connection we had. I introduced myself and she tried to say her name to me. She couldn't even speak. I said that I would be honored to call her grandma. She was almost in tears and smiled at the same time. When I showed up that day, she was in the middle of making one of my favorite drinks, tea. We had a blast hacking up that moose meat. It took us a lot longer than I thought it would. We spent days butchering and packaging moose meat. We were relieved when the local butcher said that they were ready for their moose. Whew, my right arm was about toast. It was narrow winter. You could feel the mornings were starting to be cooler. We worked on a trailer every day that we had. It was not going to be ready for winter. I started to feel like I had to be on the move again. When I celebrated my 21st birthday there, it felt like I was missing out on something in the world. I couldn't shake this feeling and traveled to Anchorage to figure out what to do next. I hung out with my family and recharged. Good food, company, and lots of sleep. Elise and Brent were ready for me to visit. Most of the time I was just visiting for a day or two at the time, traveling through town. I was there for about 2 weeks when my dad and Betty came to town. My dad had signed up for a home study course, how to build a building from the foundation up or something like that. This home study course would take 6 months of studying if you did the 40-hour work week approach. He said they were heading to Hawaii for the winter to complete the course. What? I talked to my dad into letting me go and tag along for the winter as long as I got a job. A week later, I found myself in Honolulu, Hawaii. We had to stay in a hotel for a bit until we found a rental. In the heat of the sun, we hit the hot streets of Waikiki looking for a rental. To our amazement, we found an efficiency apartment 2 blocks from the beach. Awesome! We settled in nicely. My dad had stated that I need to rest for 2 weeks. After that, I was to start to look for a job to pay some rent. Cool, it was awesome to chill for a bit. I slept late, hit the beaches every day to work on my tan. We took nightly walks after dinner and explored the neighborhood. Everything we ever needed was right there in this 4-block radius. God is good. My 2-week vacation was up and I hit the hot streets again to look for work. I went to the local market to get a drink. The donut shop inside the store was hiring. I talked to the owner that moment. I was to start in 2 days doing the night shift. Excellent. The lady had given me a full-time job that started at 4:30 in the afternoon to end at 12:30 in the morning. That could not fit my schedule any better if I tried. I woke up about 11 a.m. to watch soaps with Betty, took a shower at 3 p.m. and headed to work. Work was less than a block away, 2 blocks from the beach. We were set. We all kind of got into the swing of things, all wrapped up into work and schoolwork. All work and no play was boring. My dad started to come up with tourist stuff to do on my weekends. My job set the pace for his school work week. We all thrived on a weekly routine. We all had worked on our tan. Nightly walks after dinner with a little bit of tourist activities was awesome. My dad asked us what we wanted to see and do while we were there. Both Betty and I said we wanted to see some more of the island. Maybe rent a vehicle and explore more beaches or the outskirts of the city. How did the rest of the people live? I was thinking of fields of fruit, pineapples, and fresh vegetables. The next weekend, my dad got me up early and he had snacks and drinks ready in a bag for the day. He said that he found a bus route that would take us all around the island in one afternoon. What? We were excited, waiting for the bus that morning. We did see fields of fruits and vegetables. The bus route even took us up into the mountains that always looked like it was raining. The bus route ended on the other side of the island and we had to pay our fare again. That was the cheapest tour of the island we ever took. Just after we finished our snacks, it was time to get back on the bus to continue our tour of the island. The return route to Waikiki was spectacular. We drove along the coast for most of the drive, then we drove through the neighborhoods of Honolulu. That bus tour took care of most of the things on our list. Not exactly what we had imagined, but the tour around the island done. We hit Chinatown one morning for fresh veggies and fish. Then that afternoon we found Kmart way out in the middle of the industrial section of Honolulu. Shopping. My dad is a big movie theater person. We took all day to get to this mall to watch a movie after we had Cinnabon. Yes. Other weekends we walked to see what was around us. So many shops. One weekend we headed in the opposite direction than the normal wandering around. We came across this cool arcade. Betty is good at many different games. She had that aiming thing down. Betty never made a big deal about her skills. She would just show up with prizes. Awesome. Sometimes we would just walk until we got hungry, ate at one of the local restaurants, and took the bus back before dark. We went to the mall a couple of times before I found a rack card of what to do while you are in Honolulu. Amazing find. We took it home with visions of new activities to check out, like snorkeling, the zoo, small craft fairs, and Diamond Head. We never even thought of hiking up this mountain. A stairway of 1,000 steps was the phrase that caught my attention. Wow. Dad had decided in 3 months' time we could climb it if we got into shape. We had passed the jungle gym looking like park on one of our evening walks. The next day we headed over to this park to see what it was all about. It was an interesting looking exercise circuit at the edge of a huge park where they played soccer. We'd exercised together for a couple of times, then Dad had suggested I exercise before the sun hit the beaches. The sun would come over the top of Diamond Head by 10:30 every morning. I started to wake up by at least 9 to hit the circuit right away. The sun was scorching hot by the time it came over the top. Every payday, I would reward myself with a new cassette tape, followed by a dinner and a special treat. I had just bought this cool weatherproof Walkman with some cool-looking headphones. I worked out 5 days a week. Every morning I would stop when I got halfway to the jungle gym park and close my eyes. You have to take some moments in life to stop and just breathe. I was listening to either Pink Floyd, Tom Petty, AC/DC, or Madonna. I can close my eyes while I listen to one of these albums and remember the hustle of people, the sweet smell of the ocean, and the intense heat of the